Friends, we'll go ahead and get the meeting called to order. It is 6 o'clock. Tonight is Tuesday, August the 14th, 2018. We're glad you're with us. You're at the Leon County School Board meeting, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Looks like Susanna Barentine from Buck Lake Elementary might be with us tonight. Welcome.
Susanna, hold on one second. Well, actually, you can come up here. Just introduce yourself. Susanna Barentine. What grade are you in? Fifth grade, sir, her fifth grade year, so she is running the land of the Bobcats these days. And you ready? All right, let's go.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Susanna. Susanna's going to be back in just a minute.
Okay. Do we no thought for the day? Okay. Changes and additions, Ms. Lewis Butler.
Madam Chair, before we do, I think Mr. Millard is here to say something about the students.
I believe we have something else on them.
Cool.
So I got this. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. The superintendent recommends approval of changes in addition to August 14, 2018 school board meeting agenda as presented. Number 1, at item 23.01, continuing concerns from board members, innovative programs and marketing plan for more school diversity in Leon County School board member Roseanne Wood. Number 2, at item 8.02, refreshment services Pepsi RFP number 445-2019, exclusive non-alcoholic beverage pouring rights and advertising partnership at Gene Cox Stadium. Negotiation of contract was just completed. 3, item 18.05, Early Childhood Professional Development Center, 2018-19 fee schedule, move to consideration. This is now item 19.06. 4, item 18.06, 3 hours pre-kindergarten program and 3 hours private pay fee scheduled moved to consideration. This is now item 19.07. 5. Item 19.06, Early Childhood Professional Development Center, 2018-19 fee schedule. Per board recommendation, this item was moved back to consent. This is now item 18.05. 6. Item 19.07, 3 hours pre-kindergarten program and 3 hours private pay fee schedule. Per board recommendation, this item was moved back to consent. This is now item 18.06. 7. At item 19.08, amendment to 2017-2018 school board meeting calendar. This item is to cancel the August 28th, 2018 school board meeting and add a meeting on Monday, August 27th, 2018. Tuesday, August 28th, 2018 is primary election day. 8. Item 19.03. Safe Beat, Leon County School, hard screening agreement. Add PDF, PowerPoint presentation, not 9. Add item 19.09, Gene Cott Stadium scoreboard, advertisement, business agreement were just completed for this item.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis Butler. A motion to approve.
So move.
Second. Moved by Bowen, second by Wood. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, Superintendent Spotlight. Superintendent?
Madam Chair, at this time I'd like to bring up the proud principal of Buck Lake Elementary School, home of the Bobcats, Mr. Billy Millar, to introduce a special guest we have with us.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, Superintendent. Thank you for having the Bobcats out. We're taking up the front row, and we're very proud to be here. And, you know, it's not often that you get an email over the weekend that you get really, really excited about. But I was really, really thrilled to get an email from Jamie Holloman, who works in the school choice office and who also organizes the Stuff the Bus event for our district. And it's because one of our great Bobcats did an amazing thing, and I know Superintendent Hanna was very excited to hear about that. And he came out and he did a great job co-hosting the morning show with me this morning. I kind of threw him on the spot, and he did a great job. But we wanted to recognize Susanna Barentine for her outstanding work raising money. I'm going to have her tell you the story because to hear it from her is much more impressive than hearing it from me. But an outstanding fifth grader has been doing great things in our community for a number of years now and is just a really great role model for all of our other Bobcats. So I'm going to ask Susanna to come up and tell you about her idea and how she brought it into fruition. Susanna, come on up. Tell them what you did.
I did a car wash to raise money for the Children's Home Society, but we couldn't get in touch with them. So we did Stuff the Bus, and we made over $300.
And so what did you do with that money?
Wow.
We went and bought school supplies.
And you brought it all to the bus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Wow.
And so I had the chance to sit down with Susanna yesterday at the lunch table, and I said, "Why? Why did you do this?" And tell them what you told me.
I just wanted to help other kids and animals. Like, I just wanted to help them because I felt like I didn't feel bad, but
You just wanted to help them,
I
right?
just wanted to help them.
We call that a heart for service.
Absolutely.
You have a heart for service. You feel drawn to help other people. We love that.
And when we talked today, I told her, you know, there are adults in our community that don't get that. And to see somebody who is 10 years old, we did the math, right? 10 years old, doing that, it's just very, very impressive. And I know that the superintendent wanted to recognize her tonight, and I can't think of a Bobcat or another student in our district who is more worthy of being recognized tonight. So thank you for this opportunity.
So, Susanna, do you have friends with you here tonight?
Yes,
Would they like to maybe come up and join you at the podium? Did they help with Stuff the Bus, first of all? I have to ask this. They helped?
They did the car wash.
They do the car wash. So maybe they would like to come up with you. Could you introduce them to us so we know their names too?
This is Carson White.
Carson. Okay.
This is Devaney.
And Devaney.
Yeah, Devaney.
Okay.
Lewis.
And you guys are all in the same grade?
Or no, she's in 6th grade, with me and her are in 5th grade.
Okay. But it always helps to have friends supporting your cause. That everybody needs friends, especially when you're going to raise money. That's the first person you reach out to. You call your friends, right? We are so proud of you and so glad you're here with us tonight. We wish that we had thousands of more students just like Susanna, Devaney, and Carson. So thank you for being with us.
Real quick, if I may, Madam Chair, we had a picture up there a second ago of her cart full of $300 worth of school supplies. So, Susanna, how many years have you been doing this now? Is this your first year or
My 3rd year doing it.
third year of doing this? And why don't you tell the
nice.
members of the board in our community what other types of, stand back up there, I'm not finished with you yet. What other things you do? Because I think I remember coming to the Circle K and bringing you a couple of stuffed animals and some blankets. And so what other things do you do in addition to this?
During Christmas, we do a blanket and stuffed animal drive for new orphans to make them feel like comfortable because they just lost their parents. Then we do candy bags for Halloween because some of them don't get to trick or treat. Yeah.
Wow.
And me and my friend Lainey, we started a dog walking business to raise money for the animal shelter. And then that summer, after we started it, we did a dog talent show to raise money for the animal shelter.
You said a dog talent show? Awesome. I have a couple I'll loan you next year when you do that.
And then in June, we did a dog wash to raise money.
There's a theme there.
Yep.
Yeah.
The dog theme. I had the dog theme.
So you are a social entrepreneur.
Already.
And do you guys have family members with us today that might want to stand up and be recognized as well?
So only have the
I think
parents,
so.
parents and family members stand up, please.
Might even have some teacher, parent. Oh, there we go. Because we know most often where children get that sense of social awareness from. They get it at home. So thank you.
And the teacher has a lot in common with you. So Whitney is a teacher at Montfort, but she is a Lincoln graduate.
And also cross country coach. We
I have
used to
two of my
coach
former
against each
students.
other.
So I have two of my former students here, which I feel very old tonight. Melissa and Whitney is a teacher at Montfort now, and I can't thank you all enough for all these. So I have a medal. We found these medals. Mr. Petley found these. It's called from the Leon County School Board. They're called Excellence Medals, and for outstanding service to our community and going above and beyond in your school. And we can't thank you enough, Susanna. I mean, you make us so proud. All three of you, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. At a young age, to give back and help others. I know I asked this morning, who would rather go to the beach or do a car wash to raise money to buy kids' school supplies that are in need? I think most kids would choose to go to the beach. You all chose to wash cars to help them. That's really cool. So here, put this on.
That is really
Yes.
Come on, girls. Parents, why don't y'all come up here too? Come on. How are you?
How are you feeling?
Yep.
We heard. He just told the whole world.
No, she's right. I won't. It's all good.
You want to come over here? Come back.
Here, you come.
Kids in the front.
Come on. What are we doing? There we go.
Come on.
Susanna, scoot up to the front row.
Y'all got a block.
There we go. We got plenty of room.
Hey, put him in front of them. Put him in the middle. Let him get in the front of them.
There we go.
Y'all look at the big guy in the blue in the back.
Okay, smile. Let's do a smile.
All right.
Thank you, girls. You are amazing.
Thank y'all. Good to see you too.
Can't think of a better way to start the school year.
Absolutely.
Thank you, all the Bobcats, for being here tonight. Thank you, Mr. Millard, for joining us. I know you've had a long couple of days. All right. Recognitions, none to date, it looks like. Reports to be heard, District Advisory Council, none to date. Student District Advisory Council, none to date. Title I Advisory Council, none to date. Although I will mention we did get an email that they have their first meeting set for September here in a few weeks. So I know we all really look forward to them continuing their good work. 5.84 SRD Annual Report 2017-18. I see Chief Audrey Smith with us tonight.
Yes.
We're always so grateful for our partnership with the sheriffs.
I'm short, but I'm going to move that out of the way.
You don't need that.
You could make yourself a little. This is your chance now.
I know, right? Good evening.
Good evening.
To the board and to Superintendent Hannah. It is indeed my pleasure to stand before you this evening to present to you the 2017-18 Annual School Board, School Resource Unit contract. Okay. School Resource Unit report on behalf of Sheriff Walt McNeil. And I did not call him chief tonight. I called him chief last year. You all have been provided a copy of the report, so I would just like to emphasize a couple of highlights and then to share with you our goals and objectives for the upcoming school year. So this past year, the 22 deputies who were assigned to the SRD program conducted 13,889 counseling sessions with students and 3,419 with parents. Collectively, they responded to 2,127 criminal complaints and 9,474 non-criminal incidents. For these complaints, there were 159 arrests, and the majority of those complaints, though, were handled either through diversion, which totaled 1,616, or civil citations, which were 71. Now, recognizing that youth make mistakes, several referrals were made for non-criminal acts, and then we refer them either back to the schools or to social programs to handle the issues. One of our goals for this past school year was to increase student instruction by 10% over what we had done the previous year, and I'm excited to say that we exceeded that goal by 65%. In addition to our school resource deputies increasing instruction, we also partnered with the Florida Sheriff Youth Ranch to bring harmony to the schools for five of our elementary schools. So through interactive role playing and instructions, the 4th and 5th graders at Bond, Raleigh, Hartsville, and Sable Palm learned how to accept and expect others. They learned how to identify and report bullying. And then they basically just learned how to be more productive citizens using what we call the 4C process, which is communicate, cooperate, concentrate, and then commit. We extended our instructional efforts this summer through our summer programs at the Sheriff's Department. So 150 of our youth are better drivers on our road as they start back to school this year because they participated in the Teen Driving Challenge.
Oh, good. Excellent program.
Thank you.
Good.
And then 90 of our youth became CPR certified. They learned financial literacy and learned how to team build during the Sheriff's Adventure Camp. In addition to educating our students, we offered our administrators, teachers, and staff a variety of training opportunities. In conjunction with the administrators, we reviewed all of the school safety plans and offered active shooter training. Gang awareness training was presented at Cobb Middle, Pineview, and Sable Palm elementary schools. And then we offered procedural justice training, which was something new to our resource unit, to all school administrators. And unfortunately, we only had one school to accept that, and that was NIMS. Our goal to increase our spirit referrals by 15%, I hate to say, was not met. This was an agency-wide goal. However, we did make 115 spirit referrals. And spirit is the referral program where we refer youth to social or civic organizations or mental health or whatever in order to address whatever their needs are. As I said earlier, our diversions were up by 313, which was an 80% increase. And our counseling sessions, of course, like I said earlier, also increased. Now, although we didn't meet our spirit referral goals, the counseling and the diversions are indicative of our express goal to not only explore, but to also implement alternatives to arrest for our juveniles, especially in our schools. And so I'm pleased to report that the arrests were lower for this school year. This past year, we also implemented the Sheriff Youth Mentoring Project that allowed 10 mentors who are LCSO employees to meet consistently with our elementary school students. And because mentors were present in the schools, we had other students who actually received residual coaching and mentoring from these mentors. In the upcoming year, we will be either maintaining or implementing different initiatives in order to touch the students at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. First of all, we will continue the Sheriff Mentoring Project, and we will place mentors back in our elementary schools. We will work in partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters to provide community-based mentoring, and I'm pleased to say that we've already begun this process. Big Brothers Big Sisters came out and met with all of our employees and talked about community-based mentoring. And so our goal is to increase our mentoring efforts by 20%. For the middle school students, we are establishing a Junior Explorer program. It will be for students ages 11 to 14. We hope that students who participate in this program will graduate to the actual Explorer program, which is a competitive leadership program. Our current Explorer post, which is comprised of all Leon County students, is one of the best in the state, and they brought home a numerous of trophies, awards, and scholarships this summer to actually prove that they are, in fact, number one. So our ultimate goal is to prepare these youth if they are interested in a career in law enforcement. So with that in mind, we're also looking at establishing an Explorer scholarship for an Explorer to actually matriculate on to higher education. In addition to the Explorer post, we will also implement 2 initiatives for our high school students. The first is a Youth Leadership Council. We are seeking young leaders who are not only want to learn about the Sheriff's Department, but also want to serve as advisors to us in issues that impact youth. So this group of students will also work in tandem with the Sheriff's Advisory Council. Secondly, we will look to partner with the Department of Juvenile Justice, the State Attorney's Office, and our juvenile judge to implement what we are calling right now a Back on Track program for first and second time offenders. So this goal is to encourage youth that even though they've made a mistake or two, that does not have to adversely affect their lives for long term. So those are 2 programs that we are very excited about implementing. So without saying, school safety and ensuring our students, our teachers, and our staff have a safe learning environment is our primary goal. We vow that we will be in 100% compliance with Senate Bill 7026. All of our SRDs have received crisis intervention team training and active shooter training. They will be providing active shooter awareness training to the teachers, faculty, and staff, and they will be conducting those active shooter drills throughout the school year. The SRDs will also serve on each school's threat assessment team or behavior intervention team, and that's for all Leon County schools. We have built in protocols that will allow us to quickly share information with our administrators and that staff, especially for incidents that don't occur on campus. We have already started conducting the security assessments of all schools, and so we're trying to constantly identify anything that might be a deficiency or a threat to the safety of our students. Each SRD is also responsible for reviewing and becoming familiar with their school safety plan. And like I said, a lot of these tasks that I'm naming have already started because we did not want to be behind the curve when the school year started. Although as we've done throughout the SRD program, we will continue to educate our students on age-appropriate topics concerning law enforcement and how to build relationships with our youth. Last year, we implemented the soft uniform approach for our deputies. We wanted to make sure our deputies were a little bit more approachable to not only to the students, but also to the teachers and administrators. And we received rave reviews from that, not only from the deputies who don't like the polyester, but from the teachers and the staff as well. And actually, right before I left my office, I received a call from another agency wanting to know how we did that. So it might be something that's catching on around the state. The Department of Youth Services and School Resource Units, we were extremely busy last year. Just prior to the Parkland incident, you might be aware that we experienced an uptick in incidents wherein firearms or replicas of firearms were introduced on our campuses. So we also witnessed an increase in social media threats against our schools. So our team of SRDs, our investigators, and our analysts work diligently to mitigate each of those threats and to ensure the safety of our students, our faculty, and the staff at those schools. Our commitment to you is that we will continue to provide services and to adjust our approach as necessary to ensure that everybody is safe.
Thank you so much, Audrey. Yeah, let me ask you you may have said this and I really missed it. So in the bar graphs, you can see everywhere the largest blue one is counseling. So what does that mean exactly?
That means that the SRD, as opposed to taking law enforcement action, actually sat down with the student, talked through the issues,
Gotcha.
and addressed the issues.
So not a formal outline. It was just they sat down and talked with them and had
Correct.
a little one-on-one.
One-on-ones.
Okay. And the programs taught, what is that bar?
The programs taught can vary depending on the age of the child. And so in some schools, for example, Cobb does a crime scene class.
Mm-hmm.
Some schools we teach cyberbullying,
Mm-hmm.
or we teach, trying to think, these lights are hot.
Sorry.
But
I'm gonna
it
put you on the
could
spot.
be anything that's
Got
law
it.
enforcement related, or something that will help the child to bring awareness to them as far as what not to do criminally.
Okay, perfect. All right. Any questions?
Yes, a quick one. Thank you for the report. It's wonderful, and we can see improvements that are being made at our schools, particularly with the relationship, I think, between police and our students. But during the training, is there an opportunity for the kind of behavior that students ought to exhibit if they're stopped by the police?
We have done that not necessarily through the Sheriff's Department, but in partnership with NOBLE, which is the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, and also with the U.S. Attorney's Office. We did it last year at Godby. We've done several sessions at Rickards, and I believe we are looking at bringing that program to most of our Leon County schools.
That would be good, I think.
Okay. I thank you for your report. Good report. I want to ask you about fingerprinting. Do you do a session on fingerprinting?
Do we do a session on fingerprinting? And no, we don't. Now, in the crime scene class that is taught at Cobb, they do crime scene where they actually show the kids how to put their print on something and show what it looks like. But is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Yes, so that is one of the classes that one of our SRDs teaches at Cobb Middle School.
Yeah, I was running that. They still doing that session. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank you for the report. It's very thorough, and particularly like your emphasis on counseling and diversion versus arrest. And we're as a board are very glad to see the arrests going down and the counseling and diversions going up. So keep up that good work.
Thank you.
And a question I had is, there's quite a bit of disparity sometimes between schools in this report. And do you get together with your SRDs that are, having few arrests and lots of diversions and talk about what your what their strategies are to keep those down?
We do that. We meet with our unit quarterly, and we do talk about those issues and what to do. And sometimes we have peer counseling where one SRD will speak to another about what's working at their school.
It did seem like some schools really are, really doing fabulous in that area.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Chief. We appreciate you being here.
Can I just add one brief comment? First of all, this is a great resource. Thank you. I know it takes time
Thank you.
away from. If I can appreciate the fact that we're always asking for data and I used to argue with myself about how I could either do the work or I could count the work, but I couldn't do both. And so I want to acknowledge the time that it takes to gather this kind of information and report it back. And then, and just to say that every time I've seen the sheriff, I've, of course, taken the opportunity to talk about where we're headed with our school resource deputy program. And every single time he has said to me, we're not going to let it fail. I mean, I don't have any reason to think it would have, but I just really appreciate and wanted to commend that attitude. There was very reassuring to me and to the folks around listening, and I just appreciate the partnership that we have with your department and how hard all of you are working to try to help us make sure that our schools are as safe as they can possibly be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, if I can add to that, because I was going to say this to my comments, but I know you won't sit around for the rest of this meeting. But to echo what Board Member Rasmussen said, thank you, Chief. We had our schools were 100% filled the first 2 days, right, Mr. Hunkiar? And a large part of that is because of the Leon County Sheriff's Department and Tallahassee Police Department that they, like the sheriff said, they're not going to let us down. So we had armed officers in all of our schools, and we're looking forward to a great school year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you much.
All right, number 6, persons to be heard. Remember, we moved it up a little bit in the agenda, and I believe we do have one tonight.
Yes, Madam Chair. One speaker, Tyraine Warren. You are waiving
No,
your speaking? Okay. So, Madam Chair, we have no speakers.
Okay. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda? So moved.
Second.
Moved by Rasmussen, second by Bowen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. So that brings us down to 19.01 items for consideration is the 2018-19 Unified School Improvement Grant. This would be $1.4 million coming into our schools, I believe. I don't really think we need much discussion on that, right, Giselle? I don't think, did anybody have any questions, need anything? No? Okay. Motion?
That's someone.
Unless you want to explain to the community what it is and who's getting it.
Okay.
School improvement grant, who's getting it?
Tonight for your Title IV, we're Title IV speaking about UNISIG, sorry. The UNISIG program has been around for several years, and we have implemented UNISIG at multiple sites over the course of those several years. This year, we had 5 schools identified by the state who were recipients of what are called Unified School Improvement Grants, and that's the UNISIG reference you hear about. What we've done under the leadership of the superintendent, different than in years past, is we've really focused those financial resources on driving down class sizes in grades 3, 4, and 5. So what we do know is that nothing, aside from family and parents, nothing is more influential on child success than the quality of the teacher that stands in front of them. And so we have been working diligently with our schools over the last several weeks to ensure that we have high quality teachers able to join our faculty at our schools, our SIG schools, so that class sizes range, and we can go up to 21, 20, down to those class sizes are 1 to 13. 1 to 14, 1 to 15. And so what we're doing is those schools who are identified as UNISIG schools are our most fragile schools. And so what we're doing is we're providing students at those most fragile schools class sizes that are between 1 and 13 and 1 and 16. The superintendent's vision was clear that he wanted class sizes below 17. In those grades 3, 4, and 5. And then if we were able to achieve that, we used additional resources in the UNISIG grant to perhaps hire additional instructional support, coaches, data coaches, a math science coach, really trying to fill in the gaps where we saw that there were holes in the complete instructional package of a school. So everybody gets a reading coach, but now these schools also have a math science coach, or they have additional paraprofessionals so that every classroom has a teacher and a paraprofessional. So there are lots of, and what we did is we provided our schools the flexibility to do what works for their community. So for one school, maybe what they did is they already had their class, because they were smaller, they had class sizes that were in that 1 to 17 range. And so what they did is they hired a paraprofessional. right? So now it's 2 adults in a class of 17. And so the idea is really to place in front of the students the highest quality teachers, to provide the highest level of service, intervening with the students where they need it through the core curriculum, and then provide supplemental materials as well.
And what school specifically does this apply to?
So the UNISIG schools are generally our DA schools. So it's Pineview, Oak Ridge, Bond, Astoria Park, and Springwood.
In Hartsfield.
And Hartsfield.
Okay. All right. Motion to approve.
I'm see Pineview, Oak Ridge, and what else?
So it's our schools that are in our differentiated accountability plan. So it's Frank
Pineview,
Hartsfield,
Oak
so
Ridge.
Pineview and Oak Ridge. Then we have Astoria Park, Springwood,
Bond.
thank you, and
Hartsfield.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I promise you.
It's the first
Sure
week of
you've got
school.
that
You're
chart.
fine.
Trust me, we have had, you have no idea how long we have met and
Oh my
met.
gosh,
and
yes.
Giselle's sitting back there and reconciled and maximized resources, and it's all hands on deck. And these leaders know what they're up against. I mean,
Good. Yeah.
and they're ready. They're ready. The resources are there, and they know the ramifications
And
if
this
we
is
don't
real
see
good.
improvement.
So every teacher will have a paraprofessional.
It just depends on the school site. So, for example, at Hartsfield Elementary School, their class sizes were already running a little on the smaller side, right? So they were at 15, 16, 17 already without an additional unit. So rather than hire more teachers to go down to maybe 1 to 10 or 1 to 12, what the principal decided to do is she took a look at her numbers, she worked with her data coaches, and their vision was that they were going to have their classroom teachers get supported with a push-in model with paraprofessionals. So at Hartsfield,
Awesome.
they're going to do that. Maybe at Oak Ridge or Pineview, that's not the model that they are choosing to do. So at Pineview, they're buying maybe additional staffing units in terms of having classes at 1 to 13, 1 to 14, and so in those 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. And so we've been monitoring it. I've been out in the schools, and many of the positions, almost all of the positions are filled, and everyone is excited. And we've already begun our walkthroughs.
I can add, Jillian, we've gone through the ebbs and flows of school grades, and we've gone through time where NIMS was in jeopardy, GOBI was in play. Our secondary schools have kind of have fallen on stable ground, at least for now, until they change the formula or something else changes, but because they've added some acceleration parts and other pieces where the elementary schools, these 6 schools have been on the bubble for a number of years now. So the challenge is, how do we get off the bubble? How do we get to solid ground? A B would be awesome, but a C, a mid C, to where we don't have to continue to go through this year in and year out. The challenge, though, is if we do make corrections, we lose the money.
Yeah.
So those class sizes then go back up. So it's a
So we're really working with our schools in a kind of 2 parallel plans. And so the idea is that we get this UNISIG money, and and for want of a better analogy, it's kind of like a Band-Aid, right? So we're going to put these things in place for this year to really drive instruction and try to raise student achievement scores on the state assessments. At the same time, we are challenged to really institutionalize systemic change so that when that Band-Aid comes off, it doesn't go back down.
Right.
And so what we've been working with our schools since July 1st and in all of our conversations with our developers at the district level and with the support staff that works at the schools is we're going to do these things and we're going to be fun. We are confident we are going to move our schools and student achievement. We will be sitting in a much better place with school grades for these schools. But what we need to do is we need to institutionalize systemic change so that when the resources are gone, what's left there in their community is able to be sustained, and that the families, that community, the school staff, the faculty, the teachers, the administrators, everyone feels good about what they're doing at the school site. And so we are running kind of a parallel path. We're really talking about we're infusing resources, we're intervening, we're getting those student scores up, but at the same time, we're talking about instructional practice changes, we're talking about really diving deep into the standards, and we're talking about really taking time and focusing on what the students needs and what adjustments we need to make so that they can be successful long term.
Are you making very sure that you involve the teachers in what their needs and concerns are as well?
Yes. So thank you for asking that question. So we are doing a couple of different things. One of the things that we've institutionalized at the district over the last 2 years is something called learning walks. And what learning walks are our job-embedded professional development for our teachers. So what they do is they go in together without an administrator, without anybody kind of in a supervisory role, and they walk each other's classrooms during instruction so they can provide feedback and debrief with each other other about improving their own practice. So there are things like that we do. We've been doing it in ELA and math for 2 or 3 years. At the same time, we're also, because of your leadership, really working on not forgetting K2. So we're also implementing a K2 literacy and numeracy initiative this year. And so what that looks like is that every school quarterly will be sending a representative from each one of the grade levels to work on foundational numeracy skills, which is with an outcome of a gap analysis on our current program and the standards, as well as literacy skills, to make sure that we are we're infusing resources 3, 4, 5, but we're not forgetting that we need to build a strong foundation K1, 2. And so we're doing that this year as well.
The other piece, the other challenge has been, and Ashley's reported on this, is because if you take these 6 schools times 3.5 teachers, that's 20 new teachers. So we're having a hard time because we're adding additional teachers, but we're having some challenges finding qualified applicants because we're increasing the pool and trying to draw class sizes down. I went to Bond yesterday and looked at their 4th and 5th grade lists that were out on the wall, and they were 12, 13, 14, which is exactly where we want, but we have to find highly qualified people in order to teach those courses.
And so, we do face those challenges, and we've been working with our school principals, and we have high standards, and we want only the best in front of our students. And as recently as today, we were at a school and we did a walkthrough, and we debriefed with the principal and talked about some instructional things we want to make sure we're seeing. And they're on board, and we're moving forward, onward and upward.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Bowen, second by Lewis Butler. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. 19.02 is the 2018-19 Title IV Part B grant.
Good evening. For your consideration this evening is the Title IV grant. The Title IV grant is provided to us by the state. It's an entitlement grant. And what we've done this year with the Title IV grant in a way that's slightly different than in years past is we've really taken Title IV as an opportunity for us to take a holistic look and align what we're doing in curriculum services with our strategic plan. And so what we're doing is we have taken our curriculum developers, and those are our ELA and math experts, our subject matter experts, and we have pushed them into our DA schools, right? So those are the schools that have earned a D or an F, and we are with the expectation that they are at those schools daily to support instruction, whether they're working with the administration on data, whether they're working with the classroom teacher on coaching. So what happens is we have staff who are working at those schools. Well, when they can't be at more than one place at a time. When they're working there, they can't serve our other schools. So what we've done with the Title IV grant is we've kind of created a triage of schools based on school grade and school grade components, and those schools that are C schools are receiving additional curriculum developers funded out of the Title IV grant in ELA and math for intervention. So these are expert teachers who we have worked on hiring over the summer, who will be working with all of our schools at the elementary level who are C and Bs to make sure that the students are receiving interventions and the schools are receiving the support they need instructionally with their faculty, much in the same way that our curriculum developers who are our subject matter experts are working with our DA schools. On top of that, with the grant for our schools that are A schools, all schools have struggling students, whether they're a high-performing school or a school that's been identified in need of differentiated accountability by the state. So we are hiring paraprofessionals to work with our schools who are A schools so that they can support the school either in small group, classroom instruction, and they will be there throughout the week regularly. So when we're talking about our students who are struggling and our schools that are struggling, we are using some of our Title IV dollars to really push in and support them outside of the DA process in those schools that are A, B, and C. At the same time, we don't want to forget about our Smarty Pants. And so through our Title IV grant, all of our schools are receiving support for acceleration. And so what that looks like is that all of our Title I schools are receiving more than double the amount of services this year than in previous years. So in the past, the Title I schools received 1.5 hours of gifted instruction per week, their students did. Now we are actually sending a gifted endorsed teacher to each of our Title I schools for one full day a week. so that the students are able to receive the same level of acceleration students in other schools receive. At the same time, we are providing our schools that are non-Title I schools additional gifted service benefits related to professional development and all of those kinds of things. So the idea is that we are using Title IV to support our most schools and students most in need, and our students in terms of remediation, and those students who are in need in terms of acceleration, because what we know is gifted students, and they need support, they need differentiated instruction, and they are different, they do march to their own beat, and so they need support too. It's not just that they learn quickly, they learn in a different way. And so we're really working hard on using our dollars strategically, aligned with our strategic plan, so that our students who are high achievers or who are identified as gifted or who may be underperforming despite being gifted, and our students most in need get services. And so that, for your consideration tonight, is the Title IV grant.
And also, Jillian, did this grant, Giselle, double this year as to last
Yes.
year? Was it 300 last year, a little over 3, and now it's a little over 6? And also, you want to talk just briefly about that we're going to identify and screen all of our...
Yes, I'm so sorry. Thank you for bringing that up. So what we've also received, and we receive feedback from our community regularly. And one of the things that we did last year, and we're moving forward this year, so it's taking us a year to get here, is we're implementing a universal gifted screening instrument at all schools at the elementary level. So we are working, we've purchased it, we're working on training right now and rolling it out in September, so that all students will be evaluated in second grade along this gifted rating scale, so that we can make sure that we are identifying students. So many times, it's very reasonable for a teacher to identify a student who is maybe reading above grade level as a child who may be considered gifted. But there are many other indicators for children who are gifted, and those include things that are sometimes maybe a behavioral challenge in the classroom. And so sometimes in the classroom you might think, oh, there's no way, right? And at the end of the day, through an instrument like the gifted rating scale, when applied universally, we will hope to catch those students in the net to identify them for testing and potentially access to the gifted program.
Excellent.
How many, on the ELA Title IV grant, how many of those teachers do you have?
We have 2 more.
2 more?
2 more, and then are we hiring 2 more, Miss Marsh? I can't remember. Yes. So we have 2 more hired, and we are working on hiring 2 more for a total of 4.
4. And these 4 will be, I heard you say, go into most of the DF schools? Are you going to prorate them over?
No,
I heard you say proration.
Yes. So thank you. I just want to be clear. Our current curriculum developers who are subject matter, they go into our DF schools.
Okay.
This next group are going to go into our C and B schools.
Okay, that's just okay.
Or any school we feel like is underperforming given the proficiency level of their students. So we've done some analytics in the data to say that, if a school has X percent of students making proficiency, why are they at Y percent making learning gains? We need to kind of look at that a little closer. And so we've identified a couple of schools that we think are underperforming. And so they'll be there to help provide intervention and support to those schools as well.
And the gifted teacher would go one time a week to the DF school, I heard you say.
Yes, ma'am. For the Title, to the Title I schools. So we have Title I schools that are not Ds or Fs.
Right,
And so,
okay, all right. Okay.
Just one word about the gifted screening, and I saw Dee Dee shaking her head. That's been a problem throughout the country, is under-identifying gifted children, especially African-American children and children in poverty. And so the fact that we're going to identify and screen every single child, I think that's just a big move forward, and you all are to be congratulated for following through on what we talked about last year with identifying more gifted children. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And so the idea is that we use last year's Title IV grant that you approved under the feedback that you gave us to get that ball rolling, to get our school psychologists. We've been meeting all year on this, and now we're implementing that. And at the same time, once you identify them, you've got to do something different, which is why we've added this additional staffing. The method to our madness is now we've identified them. We have an instrument to help support that. Now what do we do with them? And now this is what the staffing is going to provide support for.
Great.
Thank you, Jillian.
Appreciate your leadership.
Thank you.
Motion of approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved by Rasmussen, second by Wood. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. 19.03 Safe Beat Leon County Schools Heart Screening Agreement. Alan Cox.
Dr. Cox is coming up. This is really cool. I'm excited about this initiative. We talked about it last year, and we're trying to find a funding mechanism, and I think Dr. Cox has a solution.
Yeah, so this is kind of exciting, and it puts us, we're a gold district as recognized by DOE, and this actually puts us out there further out front. But as the result of Rocky and Terry Anderson, who is our coordinator for school health, and my work on it too, y'all know we do health screenings, okay? We do it at kindergarten, first, third, and sixth grade. In sixth grade, we do vision, hearing, scoliosis, and BMI. We've added one to that, and that's this Safe Beat program. It's a heart screening is what it is. And so we will do EKGs on every sixth grader in this district. Just like we do with the vision, here, all the other things, the only person that gets the result is the parent. Okay, and they'll be told by actually a cardiologist what the abnormality is and probably what they should do next. So sometimes folks are concerned about the confidentiality of information. But if you look up here real quick, what's alarming about these sudden cardiac arrest is that the first symptom of them is often fatal. So it's not like you have some blockage or whatever. Sometimes it's 80% are a fatal collapse. In the African American population, you can see it's 3 to 5 times of what you see. And the sad thing is most of it's treatable. Go to the next slide if you got it up there. Electrocardiogram. So what is that? It's a test that measures the electrical activity of the heart, which is proven to be the best initial indicator. It's something you can get in a physical. So all of our staff in this district, if you're a CHP member, get a free physical every year with no copay. They can all request to have an EKG done at that time, and they should. Now, the partnership. How do we get this done? This is where it took us a while. So we talked to Towson Memorial Hospital. They got Wolfson out of Jacksonville, that hospital out there, to come in partnership with us. And then we've got the foundation, Leon County Schools Foundation, is footing the bill. It does have a little bit of a cost to it. And our local Department of Health, who conducts our screening, is on board with this also. So they will have a little group. Everybody will have passed background checks, all that kind of thing. And they'll go middle school by middle school conducting the screenings, and this is part of the screenings as well. Let's see. And go to the next slide if you can. So sometimes I get asked, well, tell me the process, because the vision and hearing screening is very quick. It's quick. It's not intrusive at all. We do have to place electrodes on students if you've ever had an EKG before. And based on the machine that they use, some have 3 and some have 5. The parents will have an opportunity, as they always have with our screen, to opt kids out of this. Since this is new, we're going to send home information to all the parents or guardians for sixth graders, and give them 2 chances to opt their child out of it. And now we have opt-out letters with Human Growth and Development Education too, and we have hardly anybody in the district opt out. I don't expect we'll have opt-outs on this, but we will provide them that opportunity. And I did want to put this up here just to show you that we do put this. It can be done with me with the clothes that I have on. Okay, girls, if they have a dress on, they're going to give them a big T-shirt, and they'll manipulate the dress so they can attach the leads to them. And by the way, this group knows that they will have nurses with girls and guys with guys, okay? But that's it. It's kind of exciting, and it's just another ounce of prevention. We're looking for early intervention at the academic level. We're certainly looking forward to the mental health and the medical level, too.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Dr. Cox. As you know, you and I had this conversation probably 2 or 3 years ago when the young social entrepreneurs from FSU came with Who We Play For and wanted to provide this for us. And so I'm all for it, and I think it's great, especially, and sixth grade is perfect before they go start playing middle school sports, and unbeknownst to them, there's a heart condition and they shouldn't be playing, or something that could have been corrected before they do begin to play. So I'm all for this. However, I will tell you that in my research, one of the words of caution I got from a leading cardiologist in the FMA and happens to be in Tallahassee is their concern was that it can come back with false positive, and if it happens to be a low-income family, and now they're alarmed and they don't have the kind of insurance coverage that it might take to provide the follow-up tests. So I don't know if we maybe just keep an eye on that and see about how or if
Well, all I can tell you is that I'm not going to have knowledge of the results of it, and I shouldn't. So the only one that's going to know that is the cardiologist to the parent. Yeah, that's.
So
But she has a good point, though. I see what you're saying. So we've done this at selected schools in our community for a number of years, but most of our other schools, because they had to pay to do it, kids, they didn't have any idea what was going on with their hearts. But you raise a good point that if a kid at a certain school shows an abnormality and there's an issue, that the parents get called in and they don't have the resources to do the follow-up.
I'm wondering if.
But I think, honestly, as a parent, though, I would rather know. And if there's.
Yeah, right.
know,
I'm just saying, if in Wolfson, Madam Chair, somebody, and one of the partners, TMH, sometimes they'll donate, those services. I don't know. I'm just throwing it up just to be, just so we're aware. And in the event that a parent calls you and says, well, now what do I do?
Right. Well, if they called me, I would refer them to our clinic. We have a full clinic at Rickards High School. They turn nobody away.
Yes, we do. And
Yeah,
we're about to have
just
a
like if
medical
we
practice.
have a
diagnose
doctor
them
there.
with scoliosis, we do the same thing, right? We call the parent in, the parent,
Yes.
And I wonder if Wolfson, have they done this with other schools or other districts? I'm assuming we're not their first.
We're not the first, but no, they have been, right, they're out
I'm
there.
wondering if maybe they have encountered that where they've been, if there is something to be alarmed by, they provide a follow-up that's maybe a little more intensive. Maybe find out from them if they have any, they might have some input into that and say, yeah, we know exactly what you're talking about and this is how we handle it. Okay.
And then you said may I?
Yeah.
You said you won't have any way of knowing, but are we then in the 7th grade before sports going to have them provide or make
That's
sure
for middle school athletics, they have to have a physical, right? In order to participate.
But that's a stethoscope and not an EKG, I think. So I'm just
No, right.
But that brings a good point. What if there is a blip on this? Is that going to preclude them from?
We will not know.
There you go.
Only the parents.
It is the parents,
the
strictly
parents
it's parent
and the
information,
doctor.
and that's all we want. Okay, that's, we're not the doctors, we're not, and plus I can't anyway. It's confidential information.
Right.
We handle vision, hearing, scoliosis, all just like
And
that.
it goes to the parent.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Cox, how soon will you start this next week and end it?
As soon as y'all bang the gavel. Start booking the school,
Good
because screenings
answer.
take us a while, so.
Okay, all right, okay.
Move
Good job.
approval.
second.
Moved by Wood, second by Rasmussen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Gavel has been banged.
Thank y'all. It's-
I don't know. We've been
Could
going
make a
kind of late
difference.
lately. Maybe here a while. All right. Thank y'all.
Okay.
We have a 19.04 settlement agreement. Do I have a motion to approve? I believe this has been discussed with everybody.
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Wood, second by Lewis Butler. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. 19.05, another pre-discussed settlement agreement. Motion to approve.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Bowen, second by Lewis Butler. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. 19.06 was moved to consent. I think this was bad. This was the one back and forth. This was, we've discussed this yesterday. 19.07 was moved up to consent. 19.08, amendment to the 17-18 school board meeting calendar. Dr. Yale, you just want to note what the change is here?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Superintendent and Madam Chair and school board members. This request is being brought before you tonight. We would like to propose canceling the Monday, August 27th school board agenda review workshop, rescheduling the Tuesday, August 28th, 2018 agenda meeting to Monday, August 27th, 2018. That meeting starting at 4:00 p.m. The main reason for these changes would be that's primary election day. It would provide an opportunity for everyone to make sure that they go out and vote.
There's an election coming up.
So
Yes,
just,
ma'am.
just to clarify, we're having a school board meeting at 4 p.m. on August the 27th and no agenda review that week. Is that right?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Is everybody okay with that? I think, okay. I just want to make sure there's no other. All right.
Thank you for the 4 o'clock.
Motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Wood, second by Rasmussen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Upcoming meetings. So, sorry. What?
We added one late. Is it on there?
Why is it not on the
Computer.
On mine.
Not on mine?
Or mine.
Uh-oh.
Not on mine.
Let's
Okay.
try refreshing. Everyone refresh.
A refresh.
Go over to the right side of your screen, and then you're gonna have to go back into the business meeting. Voila.
You see it?
Everybody good? So, go.
Do you have yours?
Yeah, but she doesn't have one.
I got it.
Y'all got it?
Good.
Go scroll all the way up to the top so the screen goes down. Like, her screen's not, like, the tab isn't coming across the
I
top.
think you could just read it out.
Okay.
Okay.
19.9 is the Gene Cox Stadium scoreboard advertisement. Mr. Bell.
Okay, at the last meeting, you charged me with going out and getting as many businesses that could advertise so we could pay for the scoreboard. I've done that. We have 5 businesses that have pledged $20,000 apiece over the next 5 years to go to this new virtual scoreboard. It's Super.
Oh, there it is. Huh.
Yeah, that's Superlube, Envision, Bojangles, Tallahassee Sports Council, which is Really Visit Leon County, and then Pepsi Cola. So anyway, we've got that. We've got the agreement signed by all of them. You should have that in your packet or on the computer. You just approved the RFP for Pepsi, which we did that because they want the exclusive rights to pour their beverages at that stadium, and they won the RFP last week. So they've come on board with $20,000 plus other things they're going to do in our concession stands, coolers and sideline stuff for the drinks and stuff on the sidelines. It's also it's a virtual that advertisements we've sold. We hadn't got any yet, but our ribbon cutting we'll have the advertisements up. See the flag there? I don't know how you make that work, but if you click on it, it's a video and it's got sound. They put the scoreboard up today and hooked it up, and it works. We played one commercial, and you can hear it. It's a 15, 20-second commercial. And you push another button, and it goes back to the scoreboard, just like you see it there. So we're excited about it. I think we got the state-of-the-art field in North Florida. It's a turf field, and we've got a nice scoreboard, just like I said. Last time, you can't buy a new car and put the old floor mats in it. So anyway, that's how it works. It'd be like looking at your TV. That's just the flag, and we can play the national anthem while that's there. And there's a lot of things we can do with it. We're excited about it, and it's paid for by our community partners.
Awesome.
And what might be the first date that we will see all of this in action?
This Thursday night, you're all invited. Come on out. Bojangles will serve you some chicken wings and some sweet tea.
Oh, okay.
All right. So
And Pepsi will pour its own, okay.
Pepsi will pour its own. Right.
motion down there.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Bowen, second by Wood. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank y'all so much.
Upcoming meetings, 20.01, just to be noted. Reports from board liaisons, none to date, although I think we would all agree that the chamber conference was very informative. We saw lots of growth and patterns and changes coming to Orange Avenue housing complex, and lots of activity all over town. It was really amazing.
Yeah, and they really added the South Side to the agenda and was not afraid to talk about it. Let that be known.
They talked about
Some-
every
they're not-
quadrant, that is
Yes,
for
we're
sure.
not afraid to talk about
They
it.
did. All right, superintendent's comments?
What's the movie that'll go, they're back?
The children, you mean?
Was it Poltergeist?
Is it Poltergeist?
Oh, I don't want to reference a movie like that, meaning 34,000 kids. Oh, I thought it was a comedy. Well, 34,000 kids are back, and I'd like to thank all of our 4,500 employees. I see we have some bus drivers here tonight and food service workers for preparing so hard over the summer to welcome our kids back to the 18-19 school year, and the complaint department didn't ring off the hook. The phone didn't ring off the hook, did it, Sharonda? So, but again, it's a tribute to all of our people who've done hard work. There's some pictures there of the officers that have been in our schools helping with direct traffic. Chris Petley participated this year in the Boohoo Breakfast, where they drop their kindergarten kids off and they walk them to class, and then they all go together to breakfast and cry in their eggs and grits about
Parents,
the first
not
day.
the kids.
Oh, the parents, yeah, the parents, not the kids will fine. But we had a wonderful opening to a new school year. It's always very, very exciting. And on the stage tonight on the dais, it shows your commitment to our kids in our classrooms, the dollars and the resources you've allocated to support athletics, to support the arts, not to mention the $750,000 you added to the discretionary budgets of our principals for school supplies. It shows this board's commitment to our kids and to our classrooms and to our teachers and to our employees who receive raises. We're in the process of finishing negotiations with LCTA. Very excited about those negotiations, and we'll be able to offer teachers an increase as well. We'll have more information for you at our next meeting. But in all intents and purposes, we're off to a great start.
It was so great. I went to Kate Sullivan. I didn't realize, I know my kids had the Boohoo breakfast, which I thought was universal. No, they called it crocodile tears.
Oh,
so cute. And he told me about another school and what they called it. So, but yeah, lots of anxious parents. And then at the end of the day, I talked to a couple of them, and they're like, it was a great day. Like, I was nervous for nothing. And it was just.
And you went to Sullivan?
I went to Kate Sullivan.
How'd you like those new windows?
New
Weren't they
windows.
amazing?
And you know what? Like
Very
4 or
nice.
5 people, that's the first thing they said to me
It
was,
looked awesome.
"We're so excited about the new windows. Thank you guys for the windows." I'm like, they must have sat in there and felt the breeze or the heat probably coming through for a long time. But it was really, I went to school there, so it was a little nostalgic.
If I may, Madam Chair, I see Danny sitting here. I got to give a shout out to Danny Albritton also for having Moore and Rickards and Fairview
Oh my
ready and
gosh.
open for business. We're still under construction, so it's that kind of a part. I would say pardon our dust, but after this summer, it's pardon our mud.
Yeah.
Pardon
But
the mud.
Danny, thank you and your team for all your hard work to
Yes.
get our areas open and our kids back tucked into school. We really appreciate your efforts.
Yeah, I went to all my schools.
Safe. Lots of deputies. When I was at Kate Sullivan, I know that we talked about additional ones helping more, learn how to not park on the street. So just thank you for all of that. Quick question about the sport. So the additional money we put into the extracurricular activities.
And the arts.
And school supplies.
And
all
school
kinds of
supplies.
things. So in reality, I have a student athlete at Leon. So when he comes home with what he's asking for, that should be as a parent, we should see that a little bit.
And I had a come to Turkey
Rocky meeting?
come to Rocky meeting, exactly, with all of our coaches and sponsors and band directors and choral directors and our principals. That the intent of this is to reduce costs and burdens on our children and our families, and we better see those things occurring, or there will be some situations or discussions, and they want to do that. And we need to recognize and understand that there's a free and public education, and it needs to remain a free and public education. We need to do everything we possibly can to send resources down to our schools to benefit our children directly.
And I would encourage all of us, talk to your friends that have kids and ask them, if they see a difference from what was given last year. I would love to have some feedback from some parents in the community, and anyone listening, send us an email. Did you see a reduction, or did you not? I feel sure we will. So
They better.
I'll see it firsthand, walk through the door. I can't wait.
We put extra funds and extracurricular activities at all high schools
And middle schools.
and middle
So
schools.
each middle school received $25,000 for athletics and $25,000 for the arts. Each high school received $50,000 for athletics and $50,000 for the arts. And there are allocations for Sale High School and for Appalachia Elementary School, which also, is our arts magnet.
Okay.
So there's plenty of money for everyone this year. I'm just honored and glad that we had the resources to pull this off.
I'm just glad to see you went to Lincoln in addition to Leon.
I did.
I'm
I
glad,
did.
glad to see you in these other colors up here.
Yeah, so I rode. There's Gabi. So I rode the bus the first day of school. I got on a school bus at Gabi Monday morning at about 5:45, and when I got off, my Uber was running a little late Monday morning, and so I stood. No, it was Sharonda. So I stood. I was standing on the bus ramp, and I thought, man, can I just go back and teach American history and economics and coach again at Gabi where I started 30 years ago? Life seemed a lot simpler then.
It definitely did.
But it's just I can't thank our teachers and support staff enough for a great start to another school year.
Great year. All right. Thank you, Superintendent. Continuing concerns, Ms. Wood.
Okay. Well, I decided to put my concerns down in writing because we've talked about this a good bit, and since we're looking at the budget right now and we're looking at our strategic plan, I just want to make sure that this item that we've discussed many times on this board over the year, we really have an action plan to do this. And what I'm talking about is really looking at how we can work on our schools that are racially and economically segregated in Tallahassee, and what steps can the school board do and the superintendent to try to move this some. We can't do it by ourselves, and I think that was really clear at the Chamber of Commerce that we have developments going in certain directions. We have neighborhood schools, and so a lot of it's way out of our control. But I think what we can do and need to do are a couple of things, and I have sort of a 10-point plan here, is we really need to look at what innovative programs we can offer to bring parents who aren't choosing their neighborhood school right now back to their neighborhood school because they see the programs there that they want for their children. And I think in some cases they're already there, but the parents just don't know it. And so unfortunately the school grade sometimes creates a stereotype and a stigma that makes people not want to send their kids there when in fact the school is really doing some great things. So I think that we as a district need to take the leadership on this and have someone make this their full-time focus. And that's what I'm requesting, that we have a person who's in charge of not only coordinating with Jillian Gregory and her staff on really great programs, but also coordinating with our modern PR possibilities so that folks can look on their cell phone and see what's happening at Godby and what's happening at Rickards and what's happening at all our schools in a way that they'll get excited about. And so I think we should have a goal and put it in our strategic plan to increase the number of parents and students who choose their home zone school, and that we work on looking at our under-enrolled schools and seeing how many people we can get back in the doors. So I hope that the board will and the superintendent will embrace this, and that we can talk more about the actual details of making it happen. But this is just my request tonight, that we get going on this in a real specific way that's measurable and achievable. And I think we can do this, and we can't do it overnight. It's going to take years because our situation has taken years to get where we are. But when we were at the chamber meeting this week, we talked to, all of us went to the meeting with the realtors, and the realtors, they need something to be able to, and they need working knowledge of our schools. So when someone wants to buy a house in a school that maybe has a C, they understand that the school is not just a C. There are many good things going on there, and they can tick them off very easily about the good programs that are there. So I think we just have to do a better job with our PR, and also just look at our programs and see what parents want and try to get them all to come back. So we aren't voting on this at all. I'm just putting it for us to talk about at our next strategic plan workshop. And I wanted just to put it in writing so we had some details to it.
And I would say, if I may, Madam Chair, that I've heard Board Member Wood loud and clear, and she's beat this drum for a while now, and rightly so. And I agree with her. We met about 3 weeks ago with a local marketing firm and talked to them about some of our concerns and some of our thoughts along these lines, and are waiting to get it plan back from them to hear some of their thoughts. We need professionals. We're not the professionals. And I love Chris Petley like he's my brother, but this is kind of out of our area. It's not our area of expertise. We're more rah, damage control, let's do the checks and take the picture, right? That we need professional help in many ways, in more than one way, but certainly in this area. And you're right, we need to seek out professional help and to see how, because like every kid we draw back, it's going to pay for itself at the end of the day.
So are we asking them about donating their services?
Well, we hadn't really gotten that. We hadn't gotten that far yet. I think they listened to us, and we're gonna kind of have their people talk amongst themselves, and then come back to us and say, well, you might want to think about this strategy. You might want to think about hiring a person that then consults with a group, or we don't know what it looks like yet, but it's going to look a lot better than it looks right now, because right now it looks pretty pretty bad.
Schools, they're so busy running
Right.
and doing what they need to do day to day, they're not thinking about PR and how great their website looks. I mean, they just don't have time, and so somebody else that's their focus needs
I
to
think
do
Board
this.
Member Rasmussen said a minute ago when it came to putting together the document with all the data, we're busy trying to run a school system and not, lose
experts.
children and everything else. And
Perhaps this firm you've been talking to would want to do a pro bono, yay, public school thing. But I remember one of the things from the chamber, the United Way campaign and their strategic planning initiative they just went through is because they won a pro bono PR package from this firm that.
North Highland.
Who was it?
North Highland.
North Highland, thank you. So it may be that something similar could happen.
And may I say, it's broader than PR. It's really going in and talking to parents who are, our 3,500 parents that ask for a choice other than their home zone school. What is it they want? Why didn't they want to choose their home zone school? And what can we do? And what new programs can we put in place to attract them? So it's a two-part, thing. We have to draw people in for things they want, and we need to think outside the box. If we want to compete with, the classical school or whatever charter school is going to come along, then we have to have our own thing that we're offering that people say, yeah, I want to go there. I want my child to have those advantages. So that's.
We all can come to the table and think outside the box, Superintendent Hannah. And I have some plans I need to talk to you about that will really be eye-opening.
I love the air outside of the box, so I'm all ears.
I think that I would encourage, there's multiple marketing firms, obviously, in Tallahassee. And we could go, when you're talking about marketing, our agency is undergoing a national brand transformation, and they, because of that, all of our dues went up like thousands of dollars. And you're talking about 300 agencies. So we could go, as little as helping website, all the way up to this grandiose marketing plan. So we need to get some parameters on what we're looking at and how much we want to spend. Because we could, it's like we talked about, we could go whole hog. Just all in. But
right now, I just want a person in charge of it.
And that's money. And that's,
right.
Are you talking about somebody, a staff person on it?
No position.
Every student we bring back in the system, that's, $7,500. So 100 students back in would, pay for the salary in 1 year. So we need to look at that.
Okay. All right. Look forward to that discussion.
As everybody looks at me and I look over at Dr. Gale, Tag, you're it. All right.
Anything else for the cause?
Yes. What number are we on?
We're done.
No, 24.
24.
Okay, I'm ready.
New wishes for board members?
Yes. I want to, on Monday and Tuesday, I visit my schools, and I want to give a shout out. I went to Ricketts this morning and was out on the ramp, the construction, everything looking good on speed. The cars are speeding through there, so I want to talk to Mr. John Hockaya about speed bumps for Ricketts High School. Then I went over to Bond School. There's cars are speeding through there. We need a caution light for Bond schools. I've been talking to Mr. John Hockey about that. Oak Ridge did a welcome. They had Dare to Go, Dare to Do. Pineview on task, ready for the students. We're looking at building up more students there. Sabre Palm, boy, awesome. Bathrooms lovely, exemplary, landscape, everything beautiful. Inviting. No paper, no debris around the school. Very inviting. Children want to go there. Look very good. Sabre Palm on task. Beautiful. Landscape, environment, bathrooms, everything looking desirable. Fort Braden, as you know, tops. NIMS, tops. Going over to Fairview, we got renovation going on there, but everything inviting. They're working on tasks there. But in visiting I visited all these schools and was looking around for information about being desirable for learning. We know inside the building, this infrastructure, we know economics come along with it, But we know inside the infrastructure, learning take place. But we got to make sure that the outside is aesthetic for learning, outside, and also the walls and everything must be clean and inviting for students to be taught and to walk into a desirable building. So we want to make sure that we look at our maintenance of our facility and also the landscaping around the buildings. We want to make sure of that, and so we can have a good year.
We're speaking the same language, Miss Lewis Butler, because they know my big five: student safety, staff morale, student achievement, financial responsibility, and the physical appearance of your campus. That's how our school administrators are evaluated. And that physical appearance of campus is very important.
Yes, it is, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Just for the sake of the listening audience who might feel that the board member for District 5 did not visit schools today, she did. And I went in for a very brief moment, did not interrupt the principals because they were still quite busy. And just need to echo all that board member Lewis has said and the superintendent. I think that we're off to a wonderful start. We really appreciate all of the fine work that the fine teachers and the staff of Leon County School System provides for our students. So yes, I did go and say hello in all five.
All right.
Off to a good start.
All right. Off to a good start, and we're adjourned.
Absolutely.